Yeah. So, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of IAStructE and IIIT Hyderabad, I welcome you. Mute చేసేసుకోండి. Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of IAStructE and IIIT Hyderabad, I welcome you all to this lecture series. So today we have a lecture by an eminent person, so who is in the field, that is Shri Lakshmi Prasad Garu, Director, State Disaster Response and Fire Services Department of Government of Telangana. So he is going to deliver a lecture on fire safety in high-rise buildings, and with a specific mention of important clauses from National Building Code. So to just at the beginning of the lecture, I would like to invite Shri Manoj Mittal sir for his initial remarks, presidential remarks. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, for inviting me. I'm really very happy that you have started this lecture series in association with IIIT Hyderabad in Southern region as the Vice President. And this is the second lecture in this series. And this topic, fire safety in high-rise building, is really very important topic. And you have chosen a very appropriate speaker for this, Shri C Lakshmi Prasad, who is a director and he's working in the fire service department only. So there cannot be any better person than him to deliver a lecture on this aspect. So I welcome Shri C Lakshmi Prasad ji to this event. And just I wanted to inform that that IAStructE in association with School of Planning and Architecture and Institution of Fire Engineers have jointly signed an MOU to work in the field of structural fire safety. So in this series, we have already organized one webinar by Luke Bisbee. And now on 8th of October, we are having a webinar on, again, in the area of structural fire safety, which will be delivered by Dr. Venkatesh Kodu, who is a professor in Michigan State University, US. So it's a really very important field, and particularly for structural engineers also, because when we signed an MOU, there was a thing that this fire safety has many dimensions. It has dimensions related to the planning aspects, planning part of the building. So that relate to the architect and other things. And then fire department has their own issues with the fire safety. And a lot of things are related to the structural engineers. And now as a designer, as a structural engineer, we need to learn how to incorporate them into our structural engineering design. That is another important aspect. So this National Building Code of India Part 4 basically deals with the fire and life safety. So it has a lot of provisions are there, but generally our codes are prescriptive codes basically. While many advanced countries have performance-based design. So this is a challenge, but still whatever code we have, we need to follow it, and we need to understand various aspects and incorporate into our design. So I'm sure we should work in this area, and we should make our engineers aware about this aspect. That is very, very important, and this is furthermore challenging in case of high-rise structures. So I'm looking forward to this presentation by Shri C Lakshmi Prasad ji. I welcome everyone in this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So before we go into his lecture, let me just say that there are around 25 people who are attending from one login. So that's why our number is like that. So at two places people are attending in groups. So anyway, coming to introduction of the speaker, here is a very extensive career and experience in various aspects of fire safety. So coming to his educational qualifications, he did BSc, MA, and several PG diploma programs related to this fire. And then he has a technically very well experienced person. He has some international exposure also. And he initially got recruited through a Andhra Pradesh Public Service Commission in 1996. And he served as a divisional fire officer in State Training Institute and divisional fire officer in several regions of the state. And finally, he is now as a director in the headquarters. And he was additional director fire prevention wing of GHMC, that is Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation. And he, because for his services, state has recognized him and gave him Seva Patakam, that is a medal, Seva Patakam, Uttama Seva Patakam, and Mahonata Seva Patakam. And then he received a President Fire Services Medal for his meritorious service for a long period. So in addition to this one, he has academic interest also. He has published several papers on this subject. So we are all eager to listen from him about specific clauses which are very, very important and relevant in tall buildings. So especially tall building design and construction, there is a boom in the country. So we are all eager to listen to you, sir. So over to you, sir.
Good evening to you all, gentlemen. I am very happy to speak to you all and interact. I feel myself privileged to speak to a creamy layer of the engineering community who are all structural engineers who play a vital role in the implementation of National Building Code in designing good buildings which are fire compliant and which have a important role in the saving the life and property of the people.
Sir, you can go to presentation mode, sir.
Yeah, presentation. So coming to National Building Code of India, Part 4 deals with fire and life safety. And there are many parts which deal with other parts of other subjects of building construction, like structure, all of electrical thing, plumbing, services. Then this Part 3 is basically deals with development control regulations, and like that there are many parts. And Part 4 especially deals with life and fire safety provisions. In many states, the National Building people will have a doubt whether National Building Code of India is mandatory or recommendatory. As far as because from the Bureau of Indian Standards point of view, it is a advisory or recommendatory document to regulate the construction activity in the country. But it will become mandatory when it is adopted by the respective state governments in their fire acts or development control regulations and rules. So as far as the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, I am representing Telangana state, it is a mandatory thing. As per our section 13 of the Fire Act, all the fire safety measures that are enshrined in Part 4 National Building Code of India have to be complied, and as amended from time to time have to be complied. So for us, it is a mandatory thing. Part 4 compliance is a mandatory thing. And Part 4, the importance of...
Go to presentation mode, sir. Presentation, full screen mode.
Full screen. Yeah, I'm just...
Yes.
Now it is okay?
Fine, sir. Fine.
Yeah. So this National Building Code was first published in 1970. It was after that revised in 83, 97, and again 2005. And there were amendments in 97 and 2015. And again 2016, entire National Building Code, all parts were amended. And it contains regulations which can be adopted or enacted by the state governments and local bodies. They serve as a model code for adoption by all the concerned departments. It is a national instrument for helping in controlling the building construction activity for orderly development. That is the aim of this part 4. You can see these are the various parts in the National Building Code. There are 10 parts, starting from 0 part integrated approach. This time, the National Building Code has called for integrated approach by various professionals like architect, structural engineer, then electrical engineer, HVAC, and fire engineer, and others, so that they are there from the stage of designing of a building throughout the life of the building. The systems have to be revalidated. That is the idea behind that integrated approach. And this part 11 and 12 are also new additions in this 2016 approach to sustainability and asset and facility management. These are all additional things. Then multidisciplinary teams have to be there for every building construction, like architect, civil engineer, structural engineer, electrical engineer, HVAC engineer, fire protection engineer, plumbing engineer from designing state. Recommended periodical validation by these professionals. So the introduction to Part 4 National Building Code of India gives certain principles on which the code has to be interpreted or read. They say that fires should be devised to minimize hazards, and requirements of the code should be taken as a guide, and an engineering design approach should be adopted by associating qualified fire protection engineer from designing stage. So what the introductory part of the part 4 is saying is the requirement of this code should be taken as a guide, and an engineering approach should be adopted. And it basically deals with the requirement of fire protection of buildings through classification of buildings based on type of construction, occupancy, and specifies demarcation of fire zones, classification of building based on occupancy, types of building construction according to fire resistance of the structural components, other restrictions or requirements necessary to minimize danger from fire, smoke, fumes, panic before the people can be evacuated. So these are the conditions which make a building untenable during the fire. So these conditions have to be minimized or prevented before for a certain time, at least until the people get evacuated from the building. That is the whole idea. So absolute, it also says, NBC Part 4 says, absolute safety from fire is unattainable in practice. So whatever, how best you will design a building, still there lurks a danger of fire in a building. Even that is the reason why we see the best compliant buildings also, there is a fire sometimes, even in advanced countries. And so there is absolute safety is not attainable. That's what it says. And the objective is to specify measures that will provide that degree of safety from fire which can be reasonably achieved. So we are looking at reasonably fire safe buildings by following the code. And it also gives that this fire safety should not result in unnecessary hardship or inconvenience or interference with the normal use of the building. That also they are warning, but insists compliance of minimum standards for fire safety necessary in public interest. Provides guidelines for minimizing chances of occurrence of fire through passive fire protection measures and active fire protection measures, also like sprinkler system, automatic detection, fire hydrant system, all this. So, and another important thing that they are saying is the panic should be minimized. See, panic will be created in a fire situation. When panic will come, when people are moving without any obstruction and they are able to see the exit, and without getting suffocated by the fumes and smoke or heat effect of the fire, then there will not be panic. If any of these problems, any of these conditions are not there, like if there is a problem in the visibility, or if there is a problem of smoke, or if there is if someone stumbles on the way, exit way, or if there is some obstruction, then the panic will develop. So panic is the real cause in resulting in unwarranted behavior of the human beings, and it may result in the loss of life. So important things are the exit should be protected from all these effects of fire like smoke, fumes, and they should be visible. There should be proper directions. There should be clear lighting in case of not, because in fire there is the problem of disconnecting of the electricity from the main source. So there should be alternative source from battery backup or and also generator for various fire safety related equipments, including the signages and lighting of the exit route, egress path. Then the concealed spaces also play an important role, and vertical ducts that are punctured in every floor for running various services. They also act, if they are not protected properly, they will act as the channels for spreading of the smoke and heat in a fire in the building. Though such openings have to be properly protected, and fire stop material has to be provided wherever such openings are made for running various services in the building. So this is the first part. Then we go to part 4. One second, there's some.
First open the file and then share it later.
Open the file and share it. It is already open. Next then I push share. Full screen. Full screen button.
Yeah. Yes.
Now we are actually talking about Part 4 National Building Code of India, which deals with fire and life safety provisions. Then the fire safety concepts tree, as given by the National Fire Protection Association of US. They are the pioneers in the field of fire engineering, and as per this, then fire safety, what are the objective of fire safety? First is to prevent fire ignition. That is the most important thing. And if at all the prevention is not possible, when fire happens, then we have to manage fire impact. Then in the preventing of the fire ignition, there are control of heat energy sources, control of fuel, control of fuel interaction, and control of fuel. And because fire is a combination of 3 major things like fuel, and then ignition, then air, and also chain reaction. That is called fire tetrahedron. And if we are unable to prevent the fire, then when fire occurs, we have to manage. we have to manage two things. We have to manage the fire, we have to manage the exposed. Then fire safety concept, again they have given, when we are trying to manage exposed, then how we should manage, limit amount exposed, then safeguard the exposed. There are the two options. In the safeguarding the exposed, then defend the exposed in place. Like in hospitals, where the patients are not, they cannot help themselves. They are on ambulatory, they are on various life safety gadgets. So there, the evacuation of the people vertically is a Herculean task. You cannot do that. So we have to defend them in the place by moving them to the adjacent fire protected compartment. Otherwise, we have to, if possible, in other occupancies, vertical evacuation is possible, where the occupants are hale and healthy and they can move on themselves. So in the so defend of the exposed is one thing, or move the exposed. If at all we are defending the exposed, then restricting movement of exposed, defend the place, maintain essential environment. So in the defend the place, again we have got defend against products, provide structural stability. Here the structural stability plays very important role, because during fire, you know, as structural engineers, the elements of structure like the steel, concrete, then these other wood and glass, the various items that are used in the building construction, they behave in a different way, and the structural stability will be at stake after certain temperature. For example, if the building is exposed to 500 degrees centigrade temperature, the structural elements, then the structural the strength of the steel may become 50%, or the concrete may also get exposure, result in some damages. Thereby the structural stability will be at stake. Then the moving of the exposed, again we have to, when we are moving the people, cause movement of exposed, provide movement means provide a safe destination. Here again, causing movement of exposed, we need to detect the need, signal the need, provide instruction. Here we are using the fire alarm systems, automatic especially, or manual if someone has seen, because human beings are the best detectors of any smoke or fire, because they can sense, they can filter, they can understand, they can give the alarm. At the same time, there are automatic systems which can detect various conditions of fire, like smoke, then the light obscuration or due to radiation. What are different types of detectors are available? Heat detectors are available, then smoke detectors are available, then multi-sensor detectors are also available. Then providing movement, here we have to, importance of the staircases or means of escape comes in this part, where these staircases, whether they are meeting the load of the occupant load of the building, whether the route completeness. That means you have staircase up to some extent. After that, the staircases are lessened, or they are closed or obstructed. Then people cannot move into a safe place outside the building or to the refuse areas, or provide route access. Then provide safe destination is another this thing. In this reaching of the destination, there are two things. One is absolute safety, one is relative safety. Absolute safety is when you are outside the building in the open air. But this is not possible in very tall buildings. People cannot move out of the building in a limited time, like a 100-story building. Nowadays, Hyderabad, we are permitting buildings which are about 200 meters, 250 meters, like that. People are coming with proposals by following various norms and putting various conditions. We are issuing these permissions. So in such cases, people going outside the building is not an easy thing. So they have to be provided refuse areas at a regular intervals of 15 meters in every 5 floors. There should be an area of safe refuse where the occupants can protect themselves, stay for some time until the fire conditions become normal, or until they are rescued by the fire department. So refuse area place is relatively a protected staircase, which is enclosed, pressurized, and provided with fire door, is also can be taken as a place of relative safety. Then part 4 NBC of India is divided into 3 parts: fire prevention, life safety, and fire protection. Fire prevention part covers aspects of fire prevention pertaining to design, construction of the buildings, and passive fire protection measures, also describing various types of building materials and their fire rating. Life safety covers life safety provisions in the event of fire and similar emergencies, also addressing construction and occupancy features that are necessary to minimize danger to life and fire, fumes, or panic. Fire protection basically covers the fire protection systems which are active in nature, like the hydrant system, sprinkler system, alarm system comes under life safety basically, and this fire pumps, all these things, and the hose reels all come under the fire protection part of the code. So, and the National Building Code has divided buildings into various groups like residential, educational, institutional, assembly, business, mercantile, industrial, storage, hazardous. Then there are some mixed occupancies also. There are totally 9 categories as per the division of the National Building Code. So residential comes under things. So we have got lodging and rooming houses, 1 or 2 family dwellings, dormitories, apartment houses, hotels, and starred hotels. These are the various categories under the residential buildings. And educational, there are B1 and B2 schools up to senior secondary level, and all others and training institutions. They are B1 and B2 categories. Then the institutional, we have got hospital and sanatoria, custodial institutions, penal and mental institutions. Here, the provision with regard to custodial and penal and mental institutions, the access control has to be with the regulators who are maintaining those institutions, because these people here, in the case of custodial institutions, they are kept for and like jails especially. People are kept there on as a punishment for a certain period, so they cannot be let loose. They have to be sent out of the building by the authorities only. They cannot do on their own like other buildings. And also in the case of other penal and mental institutions, the patients are not self-preservative, and they require help of others, and because that's psychological mental condition is not okay. Then with regard to assembly buildings, there are various categories like D1 to D7. 7 categories are given. In that, multiplexes also come, and also underground and elevated mass rapid transit system like metro rail or the underground rail, they come under this category. Then we have got also temporary structures designed and not comes under D1 to D4, they come under D5. Then D1 to D4, they are basing on the capacity, number of seats that are available in the assembly occupancy. Then we have got business occupancies. Business occupancies are essentially banks, offices, all these categories, and we have got laboratories also, then electronic data processing centers, telephone exchanges, broadcasting stations, TV stations, they all come under the category of business occupancy. Then with regard to mercantile, then again you have got shops, basically where selling and buying happens, that they are called mercantile occupancies. There are 3 categories under that. One is departmental stores which are below 500 square meters covered area. They are F1, F2 is above 500 square meters area, and underground shopping and centers and storage. These are there, especially if you see in Delhi, Palika Bazaar, that comes under F3 category. Then we have got storage buildings. Then industrial buildings, industrial buildings, they got moderate, low hazard, moderate hazard, and high hazard industrial buildings, G1, G2, and G3. Then we have got storage buildings, where the height is capped at 15 meters. storage building is not supposed to be more than 15 meters because of the heavy fire load that it contains, and the warehouses and cold storages, freight depots, transit sheds, all these come under this. Even marine terminals, truck and marine terminals, garages, hangars, grain elevators, bonds and stables, all these come under storage. And the last one is hazardous occupancies, where especially the explosives are manufactured, or manufacture of this other storage of pressurized cylinders, gases, LPG, all this come under the high hazard category, high hazard occupancy. So, and then with regard to your favorite subject, structural stability of a building, then NBC has given in a table how much should be the fire resistance for each type. There are 4 categories NBC has envisioned in part 4. There are type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4 categories. In this, they have prescribed the fire resistance rating of the various elements of structure, like load-bearing walls, non-load bearing walls, roofs, and other structures, and exit requirements. Exits, how much? So exits, all the exits should have minimum 2 hour fire resistance, because exits include a door, a corridor, a staircase, a ramp. All this require minimum 2 hour fire resistance, and we should not use any combustible material in construction of these exits. And there are other floor construction, wall supporting structural members. So various time prescription. Fire resistance. Fire resistance is mainly, it should prevent the fire from affecting the structure for that prescribed time. So there are fire doors are also need to be provided in all high-rise buildings for all the exits, and wherever they are prescribed, like cellars enclosing the lift and staircase lobbies. So there are various places where the fire doors need to be provided to ensure that 2 hour compartmentation is maintained. And we have got travel distance is also prescribed in the National Building Code. What should be the farthest distance that any person should travel before arriving at a exit? So it is generally given as 30 meters for residential, educational, institutional, assembly, business, mercantile, and industrial. And for industrial and storage hazardous, it is 45. And if it is sprinklered building, then 50% allowance is given for the travel distance. For example, if it is a sprinklered residential building, then 45 meters is the travel distance that is allowed. And there is again one more concept, like dead-end corridor, where any person should not travel a certain distance if there are dead-end corridors in the building. Like it is 6 meters in case of assembly and educational buildings, and for others it is 22 and 15 meters in this present code. Half of the travel distance that is permitted. But because since assembly and educational buildings and institutional buildings, it is only 6 meters because of the nature of the occupants that are staying in that particular building. Then at the time of designing openings, I have already spoken, this vertical openings are very, very important. They need to be protected. Otherwise, our entire building will be, in no time, will be spread with smoke and fumes, and people will be panicked, and they cannot evacuate the building safely. So there are various methods of protecting these vertical openings, which are made in a building for running various services. So that is very important thing. Then they have prescribed the doorways, how much opening should be given in the floors for a doorway. It is 5.6 meters in area with a maximum height of 2.75 meters. Then fire resistant doors have to be provided with a minimum 2 hour fire resistance. And the opening in the floor shall be protected by vertical enclosures extending above and below such openings. Such enclosures having fire resistance of not less than 120 minutes, and all openings therein being protected with fire resisting assembly as specified in 3.4.5.6. that is clause number. Then escalator openings, smoke spill shall be avoided, provision of smoke barriers 450 to 600 mm, thereby creating smoke compartments. Further, the protection shall be ensured through installation of sprinklers on all sides of the cutout openings on each floor. See, in modern buildings, we are providing glass facades and other front cutouts in a building, and there is a gap between the roof of the floor and this cutout, and this act as a channel for spreading of the smoke in case of fire in the lower floors. So this has to be properly protected with sprinkler system and also fire stops. That is very important. It is very clearly mentioned in part 4 of the NBC. For type 4 construction, opening in the fire separating walls or floors shall be fitted with 120-minute fire resistant rated assemblies. So then the doors should be having for these shafts that are like plumbing shaft or electrical shaft, they should have 2-hour fire resistance. Then the space between electrical cable conduits and walls or slabs shall be filled with fire stop material having fire resistance rating of not less than 120 minutes. This is 120 minutes is the minimum prescribed for various fire stops. Then plumbing stops also, they should have a doors with not less than 30 minutes fire rating. In most of the building, these are kept open without any protection or door. So they are very dangerous. Then pumping shaft doors which open in wet areas or naturally ventilated areas or on external wall of the building, these shafts may not require doors having any specified fire rating. When you are meeting this condition, then fire resistance rating of the doors is not required. Then every vertical opening between the first building shall be suitably enclosed or protected. Then how people can evacuate themselves? Then our few sometimes there's a protection from these things. Then limitation of the damage to the building and its contents. Then electrical installations. See, in majority of the fires, electrical short circuit is given as the reason for the origin of the fire. But in some cases, it may not be correct. It is very difficult to come to the conclusion that electrical short circuit is the real cause, because there may be various other reasons. But majority of the fires, as we see in the country or elsewhere also, the electrical reason is given as the important. In that, you have got overloading, then bad earthing practices, then loss of insulation, then using of non-standard electrical gadgets, then location of the transformers or the oil spilled from the transformer or substations. These are all various reasons for electrical fires. Then there should be emergency supply to these electrical installations, especially fire pumps. Then pressurization of the staircases. This part 4, present part 4, NBC has given it mandatory that every building, high-rise building, should have a fireman, this firefighting shaft, which should have a staircase which is pressurized, and a lift shaft which should be pressurized, and a lobby, and separated from the building with a 2-hour fire rated door, and the entire enclosure should be 2-hour fire resistant. So this fire shaft need to be pressurized. So the alternate power supply should be there for pressurization, then fireman lifts, then exit signage lighting, emergency lighting, fire alarm system, public address system. Then in many software building, there is access control. These access control have to be have to open the moment the fire alarm goes on, because otherwise people cannot evacuate, they cannot come out. So lighting in fire command center and security room, power supply to the systems and equipment shall be from normal and emergency standby generator power sources with the changeover facility. See, generally this generator system cannot be taken for egress lighting and this emergency lighting, because the light should come within 1 second once the power is switched off. No generator can start within 1 second. It takes at least some time, like 20 seconds to 30 seconds. So even that is not permitted in the code. And there has to be battery backup for these egress lighting, especially staircases, then corridors, then there's directional signs, all this lighting, exit signs, all this should be with battery backup of minimum 90 minutes, 1.5 hour battery backup should be there. Then the HVAC systems, heat, ventilation, and air conditioning, because majority of the present day modern day buildings, like other than residential, they are provided with central air conditioning system, and there are many safety systems that have to be incorporated in the HVAC systems, like this fire dampers in the system, and having the air handling unit separately every floor and with proper protection, all these things. And if their batteries are used, then they should be segregated by minimum 120 minutes fire rated construction, and ventilation has to be provided to the room where the batteries are stored. Then separate air handling units for each floor. Shafts or ducts, if penetrating multiple floors, shall be masonry construction with fire damper in connecting ductwork, or shall have fire rated ductwork. This is very, very important. Then the air filters of the air handling unit shall be made of non-combustible materials. Air handling unit room shall not be used for storage of any combustible materials. Then air ducts serving main floors, corridors shall not pass through exits. This is very, very important provision, where these air ducts should not pass through the escape route, that is corridors or exits, passageways, exit enclosures, exits and lift lobbies, etc. shall not be used for return air passage, because return air will be hot in temperature. So it is not allowed to pass through these escape route. As far as possible, metallic ducts shall be used even for the return air instead of space above the false ceiling. So there are many instances of fire where the false ceiling, above the false ceiling, the fire, false ceiling, empty false ceiling, unprotected false ceiling was the cause for spreading of the fire. A fire occurred in the Delhi airport a few years back, where the smoke spread through the the space above the false ceiling very quickly, and 16 fire vehicles have to fight for 3-4 hours to control the fire. So these spaces are very important and need to be protected. The ducting within the compartment would require minimum fire resistance rating of 30 minutes. Then if it is crossing a compartment, adjacent compartment or floor, then 120 minutes fire rating has to be there. Then dampers, where they should be located, it is all given at the separation wall, where ducts passage enter the vertical shaft, where the ducts pass through floors, at the inlet of supply air duct and return air duct. Damper shall be integrated with fire alarm and shall be sequenced to operate as per equipment, as per requirement, and have interlocking arrangement for fire safety of the building. Manual operation activities for damper operation shall also be provided. Then glazing, this is one of the important things that all the modern buildings are using a lot of glass for the glazing of the where the glass facade is being used. So in such cases, if they are not properly protected, or if they are not provided with openings for every 15 meters, 1 meter opening has to be given for venting of the smoke. And if that is not given, in no time, the entire building envelope will be filled with smoke. So, and they should also be, as I told you, this wall that is we are using for this facade purpose, and the actual roof, there is a gap. That gap has to be protected by means of providing fire sprinklers. So glass facade is one of the important features which results in the smoke spread in the building and may result in the death of the people if it is not properly protected by giving the sufficient number of openable windows in the facade. NBC has clearly given the fire safety requirements of the facade for fully sprinklered building having fire separation of 9 meters or more, tempered glass in non-combustible assembly that has to be provided with ability to hold the glass in place shall be provided. It shall be ensured that sprinklers are located within 600 millimeters of the glass facade. Then all gaps between floor slab and facade assembly shall be sealed at all levels by approved fire resistant sealant material of equal fire rating as that of floor slab to prevent fire and smoke propagation from one floor to another. Then openable panels shall be provided on each floors. This is the dimension also they have given 1.2 meters height and 1.5 meters high from the floor, and shall be in the form of openable panel. 1 meter into 1 meter should be the size. Then fire openable panel, that wording has to be there. Open in case of fire, do not obstruct, with all that specification is given. Then use of combustible surface finishes. This is also one of the important things when you are applying some finish on the interiors of the building. Then that will also act in spreading of the flames if it is not of proper rating. There are different types of surface interior finishes which are rated with regard to the fire safety. Then that has to be complied. Otherwise, it will result in quick spread of flame from one place to other because of the surface interior finishes. This is especially we have to take care when you are putting a lot of interiors in the building without any regard to their fire behavior. Because in the other countries, they are very particular about each and every material that is being used as an interior decoration. But here the NBC lays down only surface interior finishes, their ratings 0, 1, 2, and where they should be used, that is prescribed. So we have got surface 1 low frame spread, class 2 is with very low, low and medium and rapid. So this means of exit should not have any of these. Only low spread flame spread thing is permissible in certain places, and high fire spread flame spread surface interiors are not permissible in the important places. That is also prescribed where it can be used, where class 1 low spread may be used in any situation. Class 2, that is low spread, may be used except on walls, facade of the building, staircases and corridors. See, these are staircases, corridors and facade of the building and walls. They should not be used. Even very low is also not permissible there. Only low is not permissible. Only very low is permissible. Class 3 may be used only in living rooms and bedrooms, but not in rooms of the roof, and only in lining to solid walls and partitions. And paneling lining shall be permitted in a limited area. Then this time the NBC also prescribed fire command center, which should be there in all high-rise buildings, and it should be like a control room which should have all the building services monitoring system, and there should be a exclusive person available to take care of the fire command center. And it should have all the panels of alarms, then communication, then sprinklers, then fire pumps, all that should be their functioning or their use. Entire thing should be available in the command control room, fire command center. This should be located at the ground level of the building. It should not be elsewhere. It should not be in the basements. It should be only permissible. It has to be provided in the ground floor only. Then it should have also CCTVs and other critical parameters of the building management system. It should contain the floor plans of the building with the firefighting equipment that is available in the building. All that should be indicated. The fire personnel, when they come to the fire command room, control room, they should be able to know what are the fire safety systems that are available in the building, and where are the exits located, and how they are protected. All that information should be available in the fire command center. So then how do codes address exit design? Danger to life from fire. They address features necessary to minimize danger to life from effects of fire, including smoke, heat, and toxic gases created during the fire. Then egress facilities. They establish minimum criteria for the design of egress facilities so as to allow prompt escape of occupants from buildings, or where desirable into safe areas within the building. Then other fire related considerations. Then these are the key concepts, key steps in the egress design. That is, we have to identify the maximum number of occupants in each part of the building. Then establish degree of protection required to steps, stairs, escape corridors, and refuge area. And safety, specify other measures required to assist in the use of escape routes. So here NBC has given various tables for specifying the occupant load of various depending on the occupancies. For example, for a residential building, it is for every person 12.5 meters square meters is the area. So if you divide the area by 12.5 meters, then you will get the occupant load of a residential building. For institutional building, it is 15 square meters. For mercantile building, it is 6 square meters. Business square buildings, it is 10 square meters. For educational buildings, it is 4 square meters, like that. And they have also specified the number of staircases, the width of the staircases, width of the corridors, width of the doors. So assembly building should have minimum 2-meter staircase width. Institutional buildings, hospitals should also have 2 meters with staircases and this ramps. All other buildings require 1.5 meters minimum width. So if you take the occupant load, so it is governed by all these factors. The means of exit required is this time NBC has given in a following the other international codes. They have specified the minimum exit required for each person. Once you arrive at the occupant load, you just have to calculate the load factor given in the table. For a business building, it is 10 mm. So like that, they have given depending on the occupancy of the building. So for example, if you have 500 people and in a business building, then the exit width required is 500 into 10 mm, that is 5 meters. So 5 meters is the minimum exit width. Along with this exit width, you have to satisfy the 2 other factors. One is the travel distance. When you are exceeding the travel distance of a permissible thing, say 30 meters in case of non-sprinklered and 45 in case of sprinklered building, then you have to provide more number of staircases to satisfy the occupant load factor. And if there are more dead-end corridors, maybe you have to provide more staircases. So it is not a static thing, but it is a dynamic thing. Like how many staircases have to provided, it depends on the building and the occupant load and the location of the exits. This is very, very important. We should understand this factor. And NBC has put the minimum number of 2 staircases for all high-rise buildings which are above 15 meters. Irrespective of the occupant load or the exit requirements, minimum 2 need to be provided. This is the occupant load factor that I have discussed. So residential, it is 12.5, educational, it is 4, institutional, it is 15, then indoor patient area 15, and outdoor patient area, it is 10. Assembly buildings, it is with fixed seating, it is 0.65 square meters per person. If it is fixed seating, then without fixed seating, then it is 1.4 square meters. Then dining area, it is 1.8 meters. Then mercantile, it is if it is a ground level, it is 3, because generally in a shop, people tend to be more in the ground level than the upper floors. So then this upper floors, it is 6 meters. The storage, it is 20 meters. Business, it is 10 square meters per person. Like that, they have given. Then this is 6.5 mm clear width each person for horizontal exits and 10 mm for staircase or ramps. See, horizontal exits are provided in especially hospital, institutional buildings to facilitate various services from one block to the other, or to move the patients with this help of stretchers in case of emergencies. Then the occupant load capacity factors, these are taken from the international codes. If you see all this, mostly for residential education, it is 10 mm per person. For institutional, it is 15 mm. And for assembly, business, mercantile, industrial, storage, it is 10 mm per person. And hazardous buildings, it is 18 mm per person. Then exit width, we have to take the effective exit width. So this is given in this drawing. The question mark thing is the exit width, the effective exit width. So number of exits, I have told you, they are based on various factors like occupant load, travel distance, dead end of the corridor, and type of the occupancy. Generally, there is important principle in this is the staircases have to be staggered in the building. They should not be just side by side for the various reasons. Because if one staircase becomes unusable, it should be other staircase should be available for people to escape from the building. So the staircases location is a very, very important design concept. One has to keep in mind. They have to be staggered, and at least some staircases are located on the external wall of the building to facilitate the rescue of the people. So all the staircases should not be in the core of the building. Then occupant load versus egress capacity. So this is just a general calculation is given. Depending, it is very simple thing. Once you arrive at the occupant load, then you have to just calculate with the factor that is given in the table. Then you will arrive at the effective exit width. And you have, apart from this, you have to see the two other things, that is travel distance and the dead end corridor. This is self-explanatory. This is an educational building, how the staircases are designed. One sample drawing is given here. Then dead end corridors. If you observe here, the dead end means in case of emergency, if a person is traveling in the opposite direction of the staircase, then once he reaches to the dead end, he has to return back to the staircase. That is the reason where the people are not familiar with the building design. The dead ends are allowed only very short distance. For example, assembly building. Here the patterns are different every day, so they don't know about the design and of the building or the location of the staircases. So here it is only 6 meters is allowed. In institutional building, because the patients are not self-preservatory and they require somebody else help, so there also it is not more than 6 meters. So dead end corridor is very, very important thing in designing of the staircases. Then the common path of travel is the distance people have to travel before they get an option to go to various staircases. So this should be as minimum as possible. There should not be very long common path of travel resulting in some panic during the fire. So common path of travel should be as minimum as possible. The provision of appropriate common path is very important for safe egress design and should be covered. This is with regard to a hotel building where the staircases, where there is a long common corridor. It has to be protected in, especially in hotels. The corridor has to be protected. The interiors have to be fire resistant, or the carpet that you are putting should also be fire resistant. In assembly buildings also, the the upholstery that are being used for seats and curtains has to be fire resistant, flame retardant category. See this, if the carpet is a flammable thing, then though the staircases are there, the people cannot reach up to that place. Then the carpet will also emit toxic smoke. The synthetic ones are very dangerous. We should never allow such things in corridors of the hotels, especially. The fire department is very particular about checking all these things. And when people are encountering smoke, they are supposed to crawl on the ground and not walk. Then flame spread rating, I have already discussed. So remoteness of criteria, I told you not to have, the staircases have to be staggered and they should be remote from one another. In other international codes, actually they have specified how far the distance between two staircases, how much they should be staggered. But in our code, it all depends on three factors: the travel distance, dead end corridor, and meeting the occupant load. Then doors also should be protected with minimum width of the doors is also given. One second, just I'll just get back.
Very comprehensive coverage of NBC is taking place. So in the meantime, dear participants, if you have any question, please type in this chat window so that at the end these things can be addressed.
Oh, sorry for the interruption. I had my DG's call, so I have to take it. So doorways also are important. The NBC has prescribed the minimum width of the door. It has to be minimum 2 meters in case of assembly buildings and also institutional buildings. In other cases, it should be not less than 1 meter. And these doors should be normal. Any door for that matter will have 30 minutes fire resistance, even if it is a wooden door or metal door. So the fire resistance rating is required. Fire doors are required in the travel path at the exit. For all the staircases, the door has to be fire rated. Even if it is internal staircase or external staircase, has to be, one has to go to the staircase through the fire door only, 2-hour rated fire door, that is mandatory thing. Then even if you are having some assemblies in the door, even they should be also be having 2-hour fire resistance. For example, you have a wooden door and if the panel in the wooden door, glass panel, you have a panel, and if it is 30-minute rated and if the wooden door is 2-hour rated, then it is of no use, because after half an hour this glass will break and the smoke and fire will spread into the other areas of the building. So if you are having turnstiles, the revolving doors also, you are supposed to have the equal width of the door adjacent to that, because the revolving door cannot be used in emergency. There should be equal width of the revolving door adjacent for emergency evacuation purpose. See, you might have seen you can see this. There are equal width of these doors adjacent to the revolving door. Then access control. Then turnstiles. Even turnstiles also, they are supposed to have the normal one at the time of for emergency evacuation purpose. This one. Access control, I have already told, in offices wherever there are access control doors provided, then they should be deactivated the moment there is a fire alarm, because otherwise it will lead to this much rush at the doors. If everyone has to show their ID card and get out, it is not possible. So these access control shall automatically unlock the doors in the direction of egress, and the door shall remain unlocked until the automatic sprinkler system and or fire alarm system has been manually reset. Then if we are providing staircases in high-rise building especially, or normal building also, so at least 50%, if you are providing 4 staircases, at least 2 staircases, they should be either on the periphery of the outer wall of the building, or they should be through protected 2-hour rated protected corridor. People, you cannot leave the people just like that on the ground floor and they have to go normally. That should not be the case. They should be moving through protected corridor, or they should directly exit into the outside of the building. At least 50% of the staircases has to have to be like this, directly or through an exit passageway or through large lobby. At least 50% of the staircases shall discharge as per A and B above. Then there are another important things that are prescribed, or what should be the width of the tread and the riser. These also play an important role in evacuation, because if there is any non-uniformity in between the flights in a staircase, then it will lead to people tumbling on the staircase. And if it is too steep or too low, then also it will not be very good for evacuation purpose. So NBC has prescribed what should be the tread width of the tread or riser. So they also play an important role for external staircase, what it should be, for internal staircase, what it should be. It is very given. It is given in the NBC. The maximum height of the riser shall be 190 mm for staircase of residential building and 150 mm for other buildings. See why this 190, 150? You can just think, because in a residential building, the people are used to the type of staircase. They know how they have to move, and but in other buildings, it will be different people moving. So if the height is too much, then there will be a problem in evacuation. The number of risers shall be limited to 12 per flight. You cannot put say 2-3 floors without any landing, because if a person tumbles, then he will come until up to ground floor. Then they are receiving many injuries. So the number of flights are restricted to 12 in one way. Then the width of the staircases is also prescribed in code. Like residential here is not apartments, it is individual dwellings, 1 meter. And if it is a dormitory or any other apartments or these things, it is 1.25 meters. For hotels, it is 1.5 meter minimum width. For assembly buildings, it is 2 meters, like cinema theaters or shopping malls. These multiplexes everywhere. The minimum width of the this internal staircase should be 2 meters. For educational, it is 1.5 meters. Institutional, it is 2 meters. All other occupancies, it is 1.5 meters. Even the spiral staircases are not permissible other than dwellings, personal dwellings, because spiral staircases cannot be treated as exit route. or they will not be taken for exit calculation, because it is very difficult. If we say if it is a 15-meter apartment building, if a spiral staircase is provided, you can see how difficult it will be for the people to get down from the spiral staircase. So staircase protection is very, very vital, important, where the architect, structural engineer in the form of providing fire assistance, and architect in the form of providing proper safety for then staggering of the staircases, protecting them from the effects of fire. These are very important. Staircase is the heart of fire safety. Other systems, even if they do not work, people at least can save their lives by coming out of the building safely. So staircase plays a very important role in ensuring life safety of the people. So we are very particular. The department of the Telangana Fire Service Department is very particular about the staircase safety, and there should not be any obstructions in the exit route in the staircases also. So people where they use only elevators, they put some unused furniture or files in the staircases. That is very, very dangerous thing. Or even some people have the habit of putting some almaras in the corridors. So they obstruct the movement of the people during a fire. These are all not permissible things as per the code. Tread risers. Internal stair, they have given so many prescriptions. What are the things? No electrical shaft, air conditioning ducts or gas pipes shall pass through or open in the staircases, and even staircase around the lift is also not permissible, because the smoke, the well will act as a chimney for spreading the smoke, and people, and if the lift shaft is not properly pressurized and protected, the lift shaft will be like a chimney to spread the smoke in all the floors, and the staircases in turn will be filled with smoke. They will not be able, people will not be able to use that. So lift staircase around the lift is not permissible as per the code. Then exit stair handrails. So handrails also very important. They should be at a proper height, like 1.2 meters from the ground level, so that you can put your hand. It should not be too high or too low. And if the staircase, it should be on both sides of the staircase. If the staircase is too wide, for example, if you are providing a 4-meter staircase in some cases, so if you don't provide in between handrail, then people tend to move only on the edges of the staircase, so that the center of this, in the emergency, especially in fire emergency, and the center of the staircase become unused, and people try to only use through the sides of the staircase. So handrails have to be there on both sides, and if it is too big staircase, it should be one handrail should be there in the center also. Handrail on both sides is standard requirement worldwide. Then floor number, and this has to be indicated in the every floor, so that people who are moving through the staircase, they know that where they are in the building. Say in a 30-story building, if you start moving on the staircase, you should not count mentally how many floors you have crossed. You should be able to see in every floor at what floor you are, so that it reassures them that we have come half of the building, or we are going to get out of the building very soon. So it is a must thing. Then signages play a very critical role in many fire accidents. There is having in nightclubs, all these places, where even if you can Google this station nightclub fire in Rhode Island, in Warwick, so where more than 100 people died in a small this club where they were having a music music show, where the firecrackers were burst on the stage, and it got immediately fire. They were having polypropylene, polyurethane furnishing inside the clubhouse, and that club, and people have no time it started emitting heavy smoke. You can Google it. You can know the importance of time. Station House nightclub fire. If you Google, you can see so many things. So here, so evacuation time, people may ask, how much time is available at my disposal to get out of the building safely? So here, if you see such places, it is within 90 seconds, the fire has spread in the entire hall and 100 people died. And because there are 3 exits, when all people tend, they try to move only through the exit through which they have come into the building. It is at the ground floor only, even not even upper floor. So there were other 2 staircases, one behind the stage, that is mainly for performing people, artists, and another was there behind the kitchen. But these 2 staircases were not known by the people who are inside the building. 460 people were there in that at that time in the show. So within 1.5 minutes, the fire spread in the entire floor, and within 5 minutes, 100 people died. So the importance of exit signs is very, very important, and it should be uninterrupted. Power supply should be there so that people can see where they are available. And that's why in the present Part 4 NBC, it is given that exit occupant load has to be displayed in assembly, especially malls, these places, how many people are there, how many footfalls are there, so that people know if it is too much crowded, they can avoid going inside that building. Because exits will be a problem. Exits are designed for certain occupant load. So if the more people go there, for example, if it is designed for 100, if 300 people are there inside the building, like in cinema theaters, waiting 200 and 200 inside. So the exit requirement should be always, exit should be provided more than what is required. That is very important. If you require, for example, 3 meters, if you provide only 3 meters in such buildings, it is it may not meet in many circumstances. So it should be at least 4 or 5 meters. So then only it can meet the floating population or waiting people. That has to be taken into consideration. Then exit path illumination is very, very important. Where it should be there at exit door, exit signs, outside and near each final exit, and near stairs, and each change of direction, and near each first aid post. So all these places, there should be exit illumination, which should be having battery backup. Then refuse area, as I have already told, is a safe place. Earlier, it was permitted on the cantilever of the building at various heights. After 15 meters, after 24 meters, every 15 meters. And it should be able to accommodate people of 2 floors by taking each occupant as 0.3 square meters. So if you, depending on the occupant, say 100 people are there, then 30 square meters is the refuse area required for every 15 meters. This should be protected from fire with 2-hour fire resistance enclosure and fire door and talk back facility. And one side it should be open to the atmosphere with the railing, openable railing for refuse, because it should be openable, because in case fire department comes with its hydraulic platform, they should be able to approach that area. If it is entirely closed, then people cannot be rescued. So that is the logic. Refuse area is very, very important for all buildings. For residential building, after every 60 meters, it should be provided for every 30 meters. For commercial building, from 24 meters onwards, it is for every 15 meters, it has to be provided to accommodate the occupants of 2 floors. Then detection and alarm also plays very important role, because this gives time for the people to escape, because it can sense the fire when it is at the incipient stage, starting stage, so that people get a time to evacuate the building before the conditions become untenable. Untenable when they become, when the building is filled with smoke, toxic gases, then and flames or fire, that is last thing to come. But these two are very quick to happen. Smoke and this not visibility being impaired, smoke and fumes, toxic fumes. If you are having this furniture made of synthetic material like polyurethane frame, we are using in all the furniture, yeah, the chair that we are using in a building, that can create a smoke sufficient for say a 7-8 story building, one chair. So that much smoke it emits if it is on fire. Then there should be voice evacuation also. Then be for physically challenged people, there should be visible thing also, light moving, that you might have seen in some alarm systems, that has to be provided for the people who cannot hear the sounds, for such people. Then pressurization of the exits, that is very much required. How much it should be for staircases? It should be 50 pascals. And for lobbies, it should be 25 pascals and 30 pascals between corridors and lobby corridor, because this pressurization prevents if it is on higher pressure, because smoke will be on low pressure, it will be preventing smoke to enter into that area. That is the concept of pressurization. So pressurization is one of the important fire safety measure provided for the staircases especially. And only up to natural ventilation is allowed only for buildings up to 30 meters. Above that, it has to be pressurized. Then compartmentation is dividing the whole area into smaller areas to prevent the spread of the fire. That is also you people, structural engineers, play a very important role to ensuring that compartments are provided as per the code. They have given the various areas for various occupancies. Like basements, it is 3,000 square meters. Institutional building, it is 1,800 square meters. Then penal and these custodial institutions. Then there's asylums, it is 1,125. Mercantile buildings, it is 2,000 square meters. Business buildings, it is 3,000 square meters, like that. But minimum 2 compartments have to be provided in any building, high-rise building especially. That is if it is exceeding 750 square meters area with 2-hour fire rating. Then smoke control, as I've already told, life safety and smoke control are interlinked. So smoke has to be controlled in a building. If there is a fire, either it should be pressurized or the smoke has to be exhausted. Then there should be some proper arrangement for this. The code has prescribed all this in the building. And I think I have already taken 1.5 hours. So I'll try to finish it off at the earliest in another 5 minutes. Then the smoke management is again one specialization. It comes under the purview of the HVAC engineers, and pressurization and smoke management. They are very, very vital in ensuring the life safety of the occupant. Then fire officer for certain buildings, for business buildings above 30 meters and residential building above 60 meters and hospital buildings of 15 meters and above, and star hotels, there should be qualified fire officer to take care of the trainings, to ensure the systems maintenance and to ensure the life safety. And because see, you cannot depend on the fire service vehicle to come at the earliest in majority of the cities because of the traffic congestion, all that. By the time the fire vehicle reaches, it may be more than 15 minutes, or sometimes it may be even half an hour or more. By that time, the fire conditions will adversely grow. After 3 minutes, the smoke will spread, the fire will be. You might have seen that Grenfell Tower fire in London, in which the entire facade caught fire. They have put the Alco panels, aluminum composite panels, which are flammable, having inside polyurethane foam inside, in between the 2 panels. And that was the cause of the spreading of the fire on the entire facade of the building. So such things, it is very, very important that the proper safety is taken care, and building is self-sufficient in fire safety without totally depending on the fire service, without having anything on their own. Then emergency power should be provided for various systems like fire pumps, pressurization system, fireman lifts, exit signage, emergency lighting, fire alarm, public address system, magnetic door, lighting in fire command center and security room. Then coming some as Mr. Mittal was telling about the performance-based design. So that is there in other countries, but as far as India is concerned, we are following the prescriptive code because our people are not yet ready to go for that because of the response system or the exact this correctness in providing the fire safety exactly as per the code. That is still we are in the learning stage and not somehow the Bureau of Indian Standards thought of not going for performance-based design. So we are going only with the prescriptive type. So here in the performance-based design, this is they by fire modeling they arrive at a time required for actual safe exit time, available safe exit time, and or ASET and ORSET. They always ASET, available safe exit time, and required safe exit time. ORSET means required safe exit time. This required safe exit time should be less than available safe exit time. See, the safety margin is in between. So before the available safe exit time is the time up to which the tenable condition exists in a building. So within that time, that is the longest time available. But the required time should be less than that. So you should not try to go until the available safe exit time for in designing the staircases. So people should be able to get out of the building within available safe exit time, and the required safe exit time should be less than that. That is the design parameter that is taken in the this performance-based design. So in that you can see how people move, the walking speeds and their status, because there are some sleeping accommodation like hotels, residential buildings where people are in sleeping condition, and when they have to react in case of fire, it takes more time compared to the places where they are in waking condition, like in an office, like in a cinema hall or a mercantile building. People are in a waking condition, wake up, they are in fully wake up condition. So they can respond in a quick way, quicker time. So the risk is also depending on the two types. So that is whether it is sleeping accommodation or it is normal accommodation. So you have got in this available safe exit time, you have got detection. First fire has to be detected, then alarm has to go on, then evacuation time, recognition time. After that, people have to comprehend that there is a fire, then response time, how much time they take to move. And this after getting the signal also, because they will close their table drawer and then move, switch off some gadget, then the actual travel time. All these are in the part of the required safe exit time. And after that, there should be safety margin before they go out of the available safe exit time. You can see various times in a supermarket, for example. Detection time depends on design. If you take it minimum as 1.5 minutes, 75 seconds, alarm time 180 seconds, pre-movement of first few occupants 30 seconds, pre-movement of last few occupants 150 seconds, walking time to exit 35 seconds, queuing plus flow time 30 plus 150 seconds. So totally it is coming to 500 seconds, 8.3 minutes. This is a required safe exit time, egress time. Evacuation modeling, this is how they show the movement of the people by fixing up various parameters. With this, I conclude my presentation on Part 4 National Building Code. important thing that we have to understand in this is the exits or the heart of the safety, and they should be in a tenable condition, and fire safety management is also very important. People in the building should be rehearsed and trained on fire drills very periodically, once in 3 months for new buildings, and once in 6 months in older buildings, up to after 2 years. So this fire drills will make the people aware of the exit location and the various do's and don'ts that they are supposed to comply during a fire. So with this, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and you are most welcome if you have any questions, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That was a really comprehensive presentation on National Building Code. So there are several questions actually. Okay, I would like to take up, I think, some of them. Okay, so the first one is by Punita Reddy. The question is, I would like to know how security concerns are handled while providing egress routes. Are they answered by structural engineer or fire safety engineer? Yes, sir.
Actually, security and fire safety, always they are at different aim. See, security says that they have to close the fire door, and emergency door, they'll keep it in lock and chain. In some places, if you see, because they say that people will take away the goods and go use that emergency exit and go get away. So that is not permissible as per the fire safety rules. And in advanced countries like UK, if such thing is done, the minimum fine will be in the range of 10 lakh rupees.
Oh. Yeah,
so security should never be a reason for non-compliance of the fire safety. They have to be they have to place a security guard there and ensure that no one goes, but it has to be kept in open condition.
So we'll go to the next question. What are this is by Sugandha Singh. What are the specifications for fire sprinkler system and safeguarding electrical systems when fire sprinklers are turned on?
See, there is a sprinkler code like 15105 IS. This is recently reconfirmed in 2021. It is totally revised, amended, and it gives the various design features and requirements of a sprinkler, how to provide, what type of pipes one has to use, what is the area of maximum coverage that a sprinkler should have depending on the occupancy and the fire load. It is very well prescribed, and it has nothing to do with the electrical safety. Is again taken care with various features like in electrical room, sprinkler will not be provided in substation. So there the systems provided are different. So there is no any interconnection between the electrical thing getting any adverse effect by the operation of the sprinklers. It is very clearly they are demarcated.
Thank you, sir. And another question by Neeraj Singh Bias. That is fire safety compulsory for all commercial buildings?
Yes. See, there are two things that we should understand. One is provision of fire safety for each and every constructed environment is required. Whether you require no objection certificate from fire department or license from the fire department is another thing. So NBC prescribes the fire safety for all the buildings, including your residential dwelling. There should be minimum one fire extinguisher, two fire extinguishers, small fire extinguishers. There should be some ventilation. All these things are basic things. But whether you require fire department compliance, it depends state to state. NBC is because it is only advisory in nature. Every state has its own fire act. As per our Telangana State Fire Act, the buildings which require fire no objection certificate are all commercial buildings above 15 meters, residential buildings 18 meters and above, and public congregation buildings like schools, cinema theaters, function halls, all those which are more than 6 meters or 500 square meters plot area, they require fire enforcement. But municipal organization, municipal corporations, they have, as per their municipal norms, every commercial building should have a minimum fire safety. What is minimum fire safety? Again, it is prescribed in NBC, and for all new coming buildings, that has to be insisted. And for all existing buildings, we have to achieve a reasonable fire safety system that is required as per recommended in the national building.
Okay, sir. Thank
So
you.
we have to differentiate between the two: the requirement of fire NOC, the requirement of fire safety. Requirement of fire safety is required for every building. NOC may not be required.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll
Yeah.
take up last two questions only. And this is one is by Dr. S.P. Anchuri. So he's asking, like we see many medium-sized commercial outlets these days, like for all shopping, jewelry, saree, clothing, all that. They have only one front exit, entry and exit. So like what he's asking is very excited but scary designs. So are there any norms controlling that?
Yes, yes. NBC very clearly says, see, if your the general thumb rule is if it is more than 500 square meters minimum, and less than, even if it is building is less than 500 15 meters, it should contain minimum 2 exits. And above any building above 15 meter must have 2 exits, must there. And in many cases, these are all bad practices which have to be controlled by the regulatory authority, because fire department as such in our Telangana, we have very limited number of officers. They have to do normal regular firefighting and then other duties apart from the regulatory function. So it has to be by creation of more awareness, especially as one has given asked security purpose. So in most of the jewelry shops, especially, they have only internal staircase. They close everything because they are keeping a lot of valuable jewelry, diamonds, everything. They don't want any external openings or external things. So that is where the problem comes. But generally, minimum requirement of exits is must for all buildings. There is no exemption for that. If someone is doing it, is violation of the code.
Sir, one last question I would like to take. And the question is by Pulkit. So he's asking any comments on recent fire accident in Bangalore.
Yeah, recent fire accident in Bangalore is a glaring incident where, see, people have closed their opening of the front opening of the building by a railing. If it is an open railing, people could have jumped or done something, put a ladder and tried to escape. But that is not possible. There is only a central staircase. And that entire, that woman is really shocking to see her burnt alive. Because she was unable to get into the staircase, and the other side it is all closed railing. So these are all unwarranted practices being done. When we are living in a community, we have to adapt to community thing. Our mindset is still individual house like. How can you be like an individual house in your individual house when you are staying in an apartment? There are some common spaces which people close for their own reasons. And we get many complaints every day. We give them notice and we try to educate them and we make them. Otherwise, some people will be approaching courts. So these exits, see, common corridors, even openings in the front facade or sides, they should never be closed with railings. If at all they put a railing, it should be openable window. Window should be there where they can open if someone want to rescue them. If they don't have, if they take refuge there, and if it is not openable, then fire department has to carry cutters and hydraulic cutters or some equipment first to cut that and to rescue that. That much time will not be there. By that time, people will die. So these are all the unmindful of the safety. People are doing such practices which are dangerous. They should not be there.
Thank you, sir. I think one last question, because this is copied many times, so I would like to ask that by Neeraj Singh ji. That is, what measures can be used to make fire escape system more accessible for physically disabled people?
Yeah, physically, see, for physically disabled people, see this now the high-rise buildings, they have kept this fire shaft system, wherein firefighter shaft, wherein a lift, staircase and lobby all are enclosed by 2 hour rated fire resistance, and they are pressurized and this lift can be used for the evacuation of the physically challenged people. And if there are any physically challenged people in a building, they should be assigned someone with able-bodied person, employee should be given assigned a duty to take care of their evacuation by helping them by whatever possible means available. In staircase, it will be a little difficult. Evacuation chairs have come now, which can be moved on staircase. They are available. So when a building is having such people, they should have firefighting shaft or evacuation staircases, and there should be fire drills and someone assigned with the duty of helping such physically challenged people during evacuation.
Yep. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It was really wonderful, and your the way you answered also, it enlightened like most of us on the critical aspects of fire safety. Yeah. So I would like to request our president to give his comments. Sir.
Okay, so no, it was very interesting presentation. Basically, we covered all the provisions of National Building Code Part 4 in a very effective manner. So I think now everybody is clear what are the provisions in National Building Code, and it is mandatory to follow all these things. Only thing I wanted to say that it gives fire rating for different materials, structural materials also. So I think this rating is quite old, I think, for different materials. And now we have very new materials also, which we use. So another thing is that the fire, when we say fire resistance, as given in the code table, it actually means the resistance when tested in a standard fire, in a furnace. They put actual fire under standard setting, and then the performance of the material or the structural beam or something, then they test there, and then they say that this is the fire resistance of this element or material. But in actual scenario, actual fire, whether it will be the same performance or not, I'm not sure actually, because scenario in India, in our country, because these we do not have any we generally deal with we are concerned with a standard curve. We are dealing with a standard fire curve. So, but the fire scenario in our country, I'm sure, will be much different from the other countries, because of so many reasons. So that also we need to check. Actually, I'm not sure about that. That's the only thing I wanted to say from a structural safety point of view. But generally we have to follow the National Building Code in any way. Anyway.
Yeah, this table of fire resistance rating, it is all given by the CB, Central Building Research Institute.
Yeah, it is very old.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tested it long back actually. Now they do not have any such facility.
And they are the only authority who can test the various structural elements and give the ratings.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah. So now we are at the end of the lecture. So Professor Vishalakshi, anything you want to add?
Yes, Professor Pradeep. I have a couple of questions to Prasad sir. Okay. Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. You have given the intricate details related to the fire safety, which might seem very simple, but their effect is very, very phenomenal in nature. For example, the exit signs and the other signs in the building, they might look very, very simple for the understanding part, but their effect has very phenomenal in nature. I have a small question, sir. As you said that there are different unlawful practices which are being knowingly or unknowingly done by the residents of either the commercial or the functionalities of the building, whether it might be the residential or the commercial buildings. So, what are the measures which either the fire department as a regulatory body are doing so in order to control these unlawful practices and to create awareness among the citizens related to the fire safety?
Actually, this when we give the clearances, the buildings are all having everything as per the code. But over years, when people start occupying and they do all these things, and these can be we initiate action as per the provisions of the Fire Act if someone is violating, because we don't have any power to seize the building or close the building. That comes under the purview of the building authority, like municipal corporations or HMD or whoever is their building authority. So we are trying to create the awareness by conducting fire drills, insisting for fire drills periodically. We are we have introduced a system wherein we are insisting all the people for whom we have given fire NOC to upload every 6 months or once in a year that all the fire safety systems in the building are functional by a third party, inspected by a third party, a certificate. So that if these things we are trying to inculcate in the people. And but
do you have periodic inspection system?
Yes, we are renewing. As of now, we are renewing once in 5 years for all the buildings for which we have given no objection certificate for occupancy. But because the department is very small and the buildings coming up are very huge, it is to be more through third parties and self-certification, or if the people are responsible, even self-certification will do. But here that is not working. So we have kept in the third party, because otherwise the people, in apartments and people have all sorts of problems, and there is some internal fighting between the old association, new association. They put some complaint, and we don't have that much manpower to go for each and everything. And but complaints we are 100% we are attending. But on our own, if we have to visit each and every building, it is not possible. Even building authority like municipal corporation cannot do that. They can insist up to the permission stage. After that, it has to be the self-responsibility of the associations, or people have to be behave in a responsible way, so that it is a collective safety. It is see, if anyone loses life, it is a very bad thing. You cannot get back. Even one life we cannot get back. So this is the thing that fire department is trying to do its best with the available resources.
This NOC, which is given to the buildings for 5 years, it is same for all types of buildings?
As of now, we are giving for cinema theaters, of course, every year we are renewing public assembly buildings. But otherwise, it is 5 years. We have written to government to decrease the periodicity, because keeping in view the issues that are happening all around the country.
Okay, so thank you, Professor Lakshmi, and thank you, C Lakshmi Prasad Garu. Thank you so much. That was a really wonderful session. So we have almost reached 2 hours. So that shows the interest on the topic. So yeah,
perhaps this is longest session I have taken. Generally, I restrict to half an hour. But somehow, because you people are interested, and I was not disturbed because it is out of office hour, so I could talk to you, and I enjoyed also by telling all these things to enlightened people like you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, and dear all participants, thank you so much for your participation and enthusiastic interaction through chat box. So after the first lecture in this series, there was a big response, and many academic institutions in the city and in other parts of the region, especially from like Tamil Nadu, Kerala. So they approached me to become partners of these events. So we will be launching, say, other series where IAStructE will partner with other academic institutions, and then start the new this lecture series on various topics. So yeah, so with this, I would like to thank everyone, especially Shri Manoj Mittalji, and then Shri Lakshmi Prasad Garu for sparing his valuable time and giving his very rich experience on the subject, and all the participants. So thank you, and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.